Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wednesday night live episode 4. Oh God, it's been a day, but we will get into that in a moment. Now, I made the biggest mistake I could today. I had all my day planned out, working at home, chilled out, so make sure I got everything ready tonight. And that mistake I made was I went to the fish farm. Oh dear. And it's all just a blur since then. I'm not going to lie. It's just, yeah, everything's gone to shit. Got involved in way too many things I shouldn't have been anywhere near, and 20 million different jobs. And I'm knackered. I'm absolutely starving. Yeah, there we go. If I'm a bit low energy, I apologize. The caffeine's worn off. I must have got the timing of that all wrong as well. And I'm ready just to fill my stomach and clamber into bed. But, however, I am still here. The show will be short and a little bit different this evening because, unfortunately, at the moment, Aaron, who works on all the video stuff with me, has had a bereavement in his family and he isn't in. So I've not actually got all the assets ready for the auction this evening. So what I'm going to do is jump off here when we're done because I've promised it. I've shared the fish out. So I'm going to actually conduct that in the WhatsApp group as we normally do. So feel free to join me over in there about 8 o'clock. And those 3 pretty cool pieces we've got lined up will get done over in there this week because it's much easier for me to get done. Apologies about the change there. I have, however, managed to get a Koi Focus section done. I was worried I won't squeeze that in as well. But I've done an update on a few of the Shunku that I've been sat on. I do know I did a video. I've not had a chance to look back at it a while ago on the channel where they'll be able to see where we're at with those. Because, yeah, quite shocking, really, and nice to see them actually doing what I was anticipating that they would do. Other than that, the build, if you're in the Telegram group, the fish house build's coming on a dream, shipment fish set. And I did actually share a video as well yesterday because I had one of the new batches come in, fell quite deeply into sleeping sickness. And I don't think many people often get to see that. No issues with me sharing that. I think it's a good learning experience. Thankfully, today they've pulled round. I think we caught it very, very early, and they've pulled round incredibly quickly. They were all parading around the pond this morning as well. Then, in and amongst all other kinds of stuff, I've got you walk around that place and you can just find 300 jobs quite easily, and everybody's absolutely flat out at the minute. But we had, just little things as you start walking around, the quantity of things wired in, water pumps you think about. 'Cause don't forget, every pond that I've got is individually filtered. So a lot of the equipment is times by the amount of ponds that we do have. And now with the heating system, I mean, what we're up to at the minute, if I remember right, 30 odd ponds on the heating system and 11 going on now. So each one of those is a digital stat. And trust me, and actually speaking of them, I'll get to that in a minute. Digital stat, there's a zone valve per pond as well. Now, all of this stuff isn't the most reliable equipment, let me tell you. The zone valves are not made to be in a damp, humid environment such as the fish houses. But, you just walk around, everything you can see, generally everything's walking all right. Then one pond on a bank, and I've noticed the fish all of a sudden not looking the best. And, the temperature's down. It's not getting up to where it needs to be. And then investigating that, the plumbers have been here, so I grabbed him, to be fair, and he pointed out, and the zone valve, it's not letting the heat through. Tiny bit, but the pipes are a lot cooler. As soon as we put it onto manual override, away we go. So that's another one of them needs changing, and we do generally have to keep a stock of these things. But yeah, thermostats, I had 2 thermostats as well just drop out on us. I've got 2 different types up there. Originally, when we had this put in, I used one from Certikin, which were a fair bit more expensive. And on the last installation, we used the Proline ones, and I've not really got too much good to say about the Proline ones. They were cheaper. The probes, I'm just constantly changing them. But the problem is when the probe fails, we basically lose heating on the pond. So I've had a couple of ponds crash from 18 to Baltic cold. And now as I'm bringing them back up, it's really affected some fish. So we're going to have to get back on them and start getting condition pulled around. It'll have to no doubt go above 18 now in order to fully recover this. Crazy, crazy stuff. You might also notice the angles punched a bit different tonight. That's because as I got here, I realised the web camera that we use, I've left it up at the fish farm. Blimey. That's actually because we've been doing some cool stuff for a video, doing multicam angles on the fish bowls to get all the different bits and less of my face. So that'll be for a good cause in the end. So yeah, you really do seem to get what you pay for with a lot of this gear. The Certikin ones, and I've had with these Pro lines, the control panel on the front often failing on me quite a lot, which is annoying. Just didn't seem to have it. So the new build we're just doing, that's actually had all the Certikin ones again. I'm not prattling around. When you get something that works, stick with it, which is definitely what I'm going to be doing with those. Other than that, I can't think what else to share with you guys. I know there's plenty more stuff, but I think what energy I have got, we're going to fire into some questions. Feel free to load them in. I can see we've got a few in already, so please do get some, fired in. And I don't know if I've mentioned it already. It might have just been in the WhatsApp before, but the Koi Focus is an update. I have mentioned it on the Shunku, so hopefully that will all work well. And it seems we've got a couple of new people in tonight. Welcome aboard. Apologies, you honestly picked the worst night to tune into it, but I'm sure I'll get through some decent information for you as always. But normally I am a little bit fresher than this. It's just sheer insanity. We're also working hard. I think we're aiming to get about 30 new fish on the Koi Online website again this evening. Not this evening, Jesus Christ. This weekend, all being well, the lads are working like mads on that one. Sunday just gone, we had the selection for the NND Kohaku Grow Out event. That was amazing. Good to see everybody for that one. And yeah, I think everybody got a fantastic pick. Interesting, there was a fish left at the end that I really earmarked, and I get to grow that one now, and then we'll see how it stacks up amongst them. Right. So we should get on to some questions. So, ladies and gentlemen, question time.
Right, class.
Speaking of question time, I'm going to give you a bit of an exclusive, guys, while you're all here. It may be something you want to register some interest in. Feel free to let me know because it's going to be very limited. But I am just about finished putting a structure together for some masterclasses, but these are actually going to be in-person masterclasses. Limited availability will be, certainly as I start trying it out, and just time restraints, to be honest. But the first one is going to be a Koi appreciation masterclass. It's going to be a few hours at a location. We've got a venue we've got now, very hands-on, very small amount. We'll be looking 10 people overall, so it's intimate and enough to be hands-on with some selection as well. Just the whole thing. I've worked quite hard on this behind the scenes to put it together and make it absolutely phenomenal for those that will buy the tickets for it. So if that is something you like the sound of and you think it would be for you, feel free to drop me a DM. I am going to set a waiting list up for it anyway when it's released and announced. But yeah, I think it's going to be quite cool. I do absolutely love the educational stuff. Craig, I'm not sure how much it'll be yet, mate. We're just working out on costings and bits and bobs. But yes, that's coming very, very soon. There'll be news on that one, possibly even next week if we get all the small details finished, and then we set the first dates. I've just got a few things in my diary I need to tie off first, and then away we'll go with it. But yeah, I think, given the amount of fish that I've got in different varieties and bits and bobs, I think it'll just be really cool. And I like them one-to-one opportunities as well. Pretty sweet. So that aside, let's get into some questions, ladies and gents. Richard, I'm sure we was on this last week. Ages, yes. So technically, I mean, age does change with the full kind of 12-month period. It's just the Japanese have this crazy system that was kind of based around summers and seasons, which is why you see technically Nisai come October at the harvest period. So when it's completed its second summer, is when they'll term it as Nisai, but only technically 18 months old at that point. So yeah, Japanese love complication, mate. They really, really do. And then that carries on. So it seems to be that harvest season that becomes the benchmark of them officially calling it by that age, even though technically it'll kind of be 6 months off being 2 years old, 3 years old, or whatever it is. So yeah, crazy stuff. But that is it. There's counting systems. There's just all kinds of things in their language, and it's really good fun to keep up with. Hi, Ricky. Sorry if this is a silly question. There really is never a silly question. But do Deutsch Koi have Kiwa and Sashi? Also, is there any different husbandry for Deutsch? Yes, they do. It's a little bit different because generally it's always well refined. I have seen Deutsch fish with bad Kiwa. It's not a pretty sight. They look rough as arseholes. And sashi wise, again, you don't really expect to see too much sashi in Deutsch fish, although you can get it. What you're generally expecting is it to be refined, really well refined from day one. It's one criteria that I'm looking for. It's more you have to get to read the color, because the color is hard work. It's only something I would struggle to explain it in words. It's just something with experience, and then even then they catch you out. But this is why Deutsch fish are so difficult, because we all know this. They're very difficult to predict where they're going in future. So a lot of it is just trial and error and experience and hope for the best. As Nissan, you do tend to get, especially when you're pushing them, a lot of color loss and failure along the way. But again, it kind of emphasizes the sense of achievement when you do actually get those good results at the end of it. So, yeah, husbandry wise, yes. I think light exposure is really important here because it's really keeping the colour in check. But colour food is a big one as well for supporting that colour as they grow, and probably not pushing them to the absolute maximum because it's just not really in them. And depending on the bloodline, make a big difference. I mean, the Miyatora Deutsch Shore, if we take them for example, you still tend to get a lot of scales on them, and the big scales, because starting out it'll be a crossbreed between Wagoi and Deutsch, and that's why you get it. And then over time, the Japanese really bred those scales off, typically through inbreeding. And then you get an outbreeding process every now and again, which can really rock a Deutsch line, knock it off a kilter if you're not careful. So yes, that's one. But Deutsch, very, very interesting. And I mean, Deutsch metallics and stuff when you get into that as well, even harder. But colour food important. And I would say light exposure, because as they're growing, you really want to make sure you keep that colour well developed and don't just break it all up. Let's see what we've got. I've not done the old mandatory Sionas in the houses. Let me do another question, and then we'll do a bit of that one. Yes, Luke. But I think a bit of food in my stomach could be handy, mate, to be honest. Oscar, do I have any Budo Garomo? I don't actually at the moment. I've not had any of them for a while because they tend to drive me a bit potty. Satch, what is the treatment for sleeping sickness in koi? Yeah, so generally it's the big thing with sleeping disease is when it hits them, you're basically going into multiple organ failure, and that happens as a result of the osmotic system being put under massive pressure, knocking it off. So what we need to do is raise the temperature to get an immune response, generally 22 degrees. I say warmer. The reason I don't like to go warmer is because when we do that, the big thing with sleeping sickness is we need to salt up around 0.4, 0.5% and absolutely stop feeding, because digestion is just another thing you don't want to mucking around with while the body's in a state of shutdown. But you imagine if you're at 24 degrees, 25, especially, even though you'll get a better immune response, they're going to be absolutely burning everything off of them quick as hell while they're not feeding. So 22 is really the sweet spot. And catching them early, the further you let them go into it, the more difficult the recovery will be, the more damage it's done to them, and the higher the chance of big mortalities. So this particular batch I had caught them really early, and today, I mean, the turnaround in them has been quite staggering, in all fairness. So yeah, it's really a simple one. There's people use different treatments in Japan, but generally you should be able to do it with that. Sleeping sickness is a fun one because you can get the same symptoms from other illnesses. It's stress induced. The problem is sleeping sickness is caused by a virus, CEV, carpedema virus. If it is that actual form that causes the sleeping sickness state and it's left unchecked, there'll be phenomenally high mortalities from it. If it's just something stress-induced or milder viral illness, generally you might get away with them being in that state for longer with different risk and lower chance of big mortality from it. And Susan, yes, I did release. There is one on the channel about sleeping disease if you search it up. Apparent evening, Ricky. Is SFF and Sakai Company the same farm or different? Similar is the one, because Sakai Company is formed by, if I remember this right, Yoshimichi Sakai, who is the uncle to Kentaro, who runs the main Sakai fish farm operation. When the father, his brother, passed away, and it naturally passed to Kentaro. I don't know what happened. There's only all the other usual hearsay and bollocks. I don't know it, so I'm not going to comment. But Yoshimichi, the uncle, decided, maybe for the sake of his son as well, because his son's Motoharu is massively involved in the running of Sakai Company now, both in Hiroshima, not too far between them. And to be honest, everything there looks pretty identical. You can see the breeding as well. They'll no doubt have took parent fish and a lot of those lines to start it all off. The operation, the way it's run, I would say a lot of the techniques are all pretty much the same as well. Some of the staff went. It's just, to be honest, yeah, the size of the operation is massively, massively different, let me tell you. But the uncle there running it with his son, he's got that in mind, because if they'd all stayed together, this business would only ever pass down the line of Kentaro, his son now, Kotaro. I think there's actually 2 or 3 of them in the operation. And yeah, what is now Sakai Company, Motoharu-san would not have been getting a look in. So it's a complex one, that, in Japan. It really is. And I can probably see that might have been the biggest driving force behind it. So yes, now at the point, I say there's similarities in the varieties, but what we also see at Sakai Company, they're going off doing a few other bits. The Ginrin line they've stabilized is very good. In fact, phenomenal. I've got a client that's got a Ginrin Sankey there. Sansai now, I think it's an absolute lump, about 70 centimeters. Phenomenal body. Ginrin Kajaku as well. So yeah, I've had some nice results with Sakai Company. Really have. But yeah, would you say, is it a little bit of the Dainichi Toyota scenario? I don't think so. I think Dainichi Toyota's very different, just got a different approach. But yeah, great fish either way. And you can tell, those Sakai genetics are very much there in the fish. But I think from this point, you can see where Sakai are they're out there in a league of their own in a lot of ways. And it just got me thinking about prices. And there's another Dainichi auction on was today, and the prices of the stuff in there for I wouldn't even say they are decent looking fish. I'm going to say it as well. The prices for the shit. I was looking at a 3-step koraku that had absolutely shite sashi. I thought the body was questionable. 2 red eyes as well. And at the last point of me looking, I think all said and done over here, if you took your commission on, your shipping, all the rest of it, you'd have probably been getting on for about $3,000. It was absolutely fucking insane. I don't know what was going off. Good fish, we were talking 4, 5, 6,000 pound a piece. We'd have been into quite easily for these unsexed Tosai at 30 odd cm. Yeah, a lot of money to pay for a male fish, that, isn't it? Fucking hell. So yeah, left that one well alone, folks. Very interesting. That was for that Dainichi auction that time of year. That was some insane stuff. I don't know what's influencing that. I think China's kind of back into the market this year again, but that was just absolutely potty. Right, next question. I've still not done that. Right, let's scroll back up to the top and we'll do the evening alls and see who's in very quickly. Then I'll get back down to where I was. Morning for Susan, of course. Let's have a look. And now as well, and I don't even know where I put my charger. My laptop's dying. I tell you what, I am shocking. That'll give me a chance. Actually, we'll cut to the Koi Focus section soon, and that'll give me a chance to grab my charger. Yeah, it is when I get up to that farm, it's a nightmare. You just walk through. I literally walk through the greenhouse, and you just see all the different jobs and things, and then it's just too distracting. Because in my fish first life, you just can't ignore that stuff. Impossible. So many of you in again. Oh, we got 175 people again. Very consistent every week. It's amazing. Darren here for your first time. Everyone welcome him in. Right, that's it. We're down to another question. Let's go with that one. And have you ever used a second round of Baytril injection? No ulcers, but very red under half the scales. Yeah, and you just hit that territory that I don't like diving into too much, because I'm not one for, antibiotics should be issued at the point of having some diagnostic work done. Red under half the scales could be something else as well, and I've not got all the information. So, I mean, if they're on an antibiotic course and it's not worked and it's been prescribed, what it could be is the dosage could be wrong. Very important that fish are weighed before antibiotic dosing, because believe me, all them calculations out there that kind of give you some rough body weight figures tend to generally be an absolute mile out. And if you don't get that dosage right, what you could potentially build is antibiotic resistance, and you really don't want that, because it'll have some effect but not quite fully do the job. Have a look there. Hi, Ricky. Currently constructing a new 9,000 litres, 3.6 metre by 2.6 metre. All returns on one end, but how many returns would you recommend to have on that one end, and at what levels height-wise? Honestly, it's not going to make that much difference, Carl. All my returns are all above water. If you don't want that, sitting below. If you want something a bit deeper, sit it a bit deeper. It really depends how much money you want to spend on pipe work and how complicated you want to make it all. But just surface, you see the water circulation that I actually get just through them surface returns, and it's more than enough. You're getting the movement in there. So for me, let's say if you don't want all that surface agitation, which I want the surface agitation, I want all the benefits that can come from it as well. Probably just sit them just below, and that'd be absolutely fine. Don't overthink it. Evening all. Ricky, what's your views on building your pond indoors? How much natural sunlight should you aim to provide? Yeah, as much as you can. You don't need completely full sunlight, but over the surface just as much as you can. Artificial lighting, trust me, is to really get the impact of mimicking what the sunlight can do is going to be tough, costly. There's going to be running costs to it from as far as I'm getting into this whole journey. So yeah, as much light as you can to really get that pigment and color, because it just makes so much difference to all the all-round health, well-being, promote a bit of algae growth. Obviously, all that's really important for their skin quality and condition as well. Just a hell of a lot to it with that. So yes. Alan Kondo, grow on. Chris is manning that one, mate. There's the group set up. So if you're not in that, buddy, feel free to drop me a DM and I'll find out what's gone off. Right, there we go. Joseph, when growing on Tosai and you see Benny going faint, what steps would you take to revive this? Does lowering temp help, feeding only colour food, etc.? How vital is sunlight? So it could well be, Josie, that the colour's just not good enough, and you by growing it fast, you've exposed the flaw in it. It's that simple. Recover it potentially, yes. So by taking it out of that environment, easing it off the temperature, stopping it growing, and getting good light to it, yes, it could be that it's not had enough light and you've overstretched it. It all really depends on the environment. So sunlight is vital in that process. Without it, the color will retract, it'll grow, you'll just stretch it and it'll look a mess. And over time, if you do that for too long, you will eventually break the color up. So absolutely vital. Next steps, if you've not got light, is get it some exposure to some light and probably slow down the growing and let it catch it up. It is important in the development as the fish are growing. You want to get that benny thickening all the time. So being indoors and that not progressing, you end up with a big fish that in the end, the color, there'll be a bit of a mismatch in how the color actually looks to the age of the fish and where it should be in the progression. Because remember, we want to get to a point where the color's leveled up. You know, it's all them layers and layers are built, and it's just like thick, solid, glossy paint. If we can get to it. Oscar, hi Ricky. My pond is currently heated at 8 degrees. I want to heat to 22 degrees. How should I do it? How many degrees should I turn it up every day or every week? Yeah, so I'd be quite happy going up a degree a day if you want to do it like that. Or I've mentioned this before. It's good to go in blocks, so kind of get it warmed up. Target 18 first, so get it up to 18, a degree a day, something like that. Let it stable out for probably a week, and then take your next progression up to 22. But going up, I just don't worry about half as much as I do bringing it back down. That's when you've got to be really careful, because everything is just going to get better. Just, Oscar, be aware as you warm it up, don't start really hammering the food more until you've got it warm right up. You still need to slowly build that up, because your filters have got to build back up with the different water temperature. So, and that will take time. It really will. Okay, right, ladies and gents, time is racking on. The video is about 10 minutes long, so I'm going to get everything loaded up there. One moment. Hopefully this has all gone to plan. If I can actually find it on my computer here as well. There we go. I've also just realised I'm not even on I'm on Wi-Fi tonight, so fingers crossed that plays well. Okay, ladies and gents. So, like I say, Shunku is the one for this week's Koi Focus. Right, so ladies and gents, enjoy this one. It's not the usual production standard, because this was me winging it on my phone to make sure I got it done for you all, but some nice results nonetheless. Enjoy. Thought I'd use this week's Koi Focus to give you an update on where we're at with the Shunku, because it doesn't look like there is any this year. I decided not to bother, old Saito. However, I have got plenty stashed around, and I made a few predictions of what might happen with these when I got them. So I'm going to start with two I've got in this 3.5k pond with some big savage lumps. I'm also going to just show you a Ginrin Karashi from him, Saito, one of the knockoff monkeys, that's a customer bought. I've been growing in here since, and I'll let you make your own judgment on that. But yeah, two in here that really lumped it on and just had real bonkers qualities to them. And I love the bodies, hence why they ended up in here to really push them on. The others I'm going to show you have been outside, just in an overwintering pond, seeing what happened before I invested any more time and resource into them. So yeah, let's check in on these first. So first up is this absolute Brutus 52 cm Nisai. I think you can probably see what attracted me to it. On top of that body, just look at that, the gin in that scale, the shine, the quality that we've seen with these Saito fish, look, in every scale there. It's pretty popping. But yeah, I hadn't had a look at this for a long time. So if you remember back, I explained that these very originally came from Asagi. That's been the base of what he started with. It's my expectation, and I've seen the main fish that he's got as well. My expectation was this yellow Kanoko comes out, it forms, the pattern comes. The one that I watched at his fish house didn't really hit its stride till about 5 years old. So where this is at, and there is so much new colour here. So we see there's a real big block of it there down the side here. Can't see any near the peduncle that side, but down here look as well. Yellow, yellow, yellow. There's lots of it going on. I've got colour in the eye on this one as well, look there. This really is just a gamble, patience. There's also elements to this of just admiring and appreciating the qualities that fish has without the yellow pigment. I mean, it's absolutely stunning, and the body's just superb. Look how it shines. So as far as that one goes, yes, it's progressing. It's a gamble. I could invest 2, 3, 4 years in this fish and it become nothing. That's the reality. It could need a change of environment to really pop that colour out. Who knows? The only thing I do know right now is it's progressing, and with them other qualities it has, I think, you know, I'll enjoy it throughout the journey, just watching that body develop and that just the quality with the metallic shine and gin that it's got. And fingers crossed we get the rest. But I think that's an impressive piece. Look at that shine now, how it sits on it. Amazing. So this piece at the other end of that scale, 53 cm this one. You can see again from the body exactly why I've chosen to sit tight on it. Non-Ginrin example, but still, again, look at that shine and intensity, the fukurin in that skin. Loving it. Everything's gone a bit off-white here because there is colour food being put into this pond. But when this went in, it wasn't showing really any signs of yellow pigment, and right now it still isn't. It may just be that this one, with pond space being the tight resource that it is, unfortunately won't end up making it another year, and I'm just going to have to live with the fact that it could just pop up and become epic in somebody's pond. But again, just look at I think it would be a worthy fish to keep just for that shine, look. The light's really catching it well tonight. It looks amazing. That body again. So time will tell with that one. Cracking big fish. Again, we get them sort of head and fins cleared up, it'll look a different beast again. But these are the joys of raising koi. Patience, still a young fish. I mean, what we're talking, probably 21, 22 months old now. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. So let's see, but that's the two ends of the scale and the kind of gambles you have to take with varieties like this. I would have liked to have seen, even if it just gave me one yellow scale, that would have been enough, but there is nothing. So let's see. So just for a bit more Saito appreciation, this is the client's Ginrin Karashi. Again, I've had a full video on these. This will no doubt be on that video back on the channel. But I can't remember the exact size when this was purchased. I think we were low 50s. Been growing it since in here. It's now 62 centimeters, and the body mass gains have just been insane. It's really not stopped. I've actually got a couple more of these. This has really been the dominant one. The other two are no slouches. But that body look, love it. These are by no means, yes, monkeys, just still got a slightly different body setup, but just goes to show, look, colour and ginrin on that, I think matches it pound for pound. And I'm sure if that owner's tuning in tonight, which they often do, congratulations again, because wow, we've still got another few weeks to go with the growing on that one as well. So in this, and the lighting's not great right now, but in this big bowl of shunku soup, there's all sorts happening. The biggest was, bearing in mind most of these were not really showing anything. I know for a fact the pattern progression in this has been nuts. Now I'm not masking it up, this looks like shit right now. But it's progress from where it was at. I can see colour dropping in the fins. There's colour breaking everywhere. Look, faint colour right there near my thumb. I've got it right, if you can see it, just near the back of the dorsal fin there, and around the dorsal fin there as well. This is hard, because at face value, you look at that, I would not expect anybody to go mad for that at all. But you're just so far away from the finished article. And we don't know what the finished article is going to be. That is part of the fun of these varieties. I think you have to understand. This has been the same. This has developed a full head pattern. And that back there, again, I can see colour forming in the fins. And again, down that dorsal line, look. Not so much on that side as I can see, but around the dorsal line. But yeah, head pattern progression has been mad on that. Who knows, it could be all it is, but colour is developing. And we see it more too, so they're non-ginrin examples, and then these two doing it all the same. Look, I can see that on the head, that's all new. I've been seeing this fish when it feeds. And then we've got this yellow Kanoko again. I've got yellow around the eye there. It's little signs, but it's just understanding. This is where really understanding a bloodline and what it's been built on helps you get a grip. So when, I mean, look at that, look, all over the place. The white, the platinum kind of quality of that, look, is just on another level. Yeah, when Golden Corn we created, it was knowing about that Asagi base that helped me determine how to select them. Then it's a case of really having some patience. But so far, there's quite a lot more in here. That one there with the yellow head actually sold in one of our auctions. I've not had a chance to really look at them all up close, but just that first four I caught there. Happy days. They are a curious one, aren't they? So, what do you think to them, guys? Them first two, I mean, absolute brick shit houses, aren't they? I'm loving them. So, just the gamble. This is why I think this is overlooked with a lot of these varieties. It's the enjoyment you get from the gamble, the risk, the journey to see where they go. It's just koi in a different way. It's all good and well having the predictability and something. And I get that when you're investing a lot of cash into them. But there's been so many of them shunku go out that have been great fun. And, you know, even that second one from the beginning, you know, that might end up going out. And who knows what could happen a bit later down the line. It could be the one that got away. So, yes, there we go, ladies and gents. So, no auction on here. I'm going to go now and just get the last bit of prep done and try and scramble home in the meantime so my wife can feed me. And yeah, around 8 o'clock over on the WhatsApp group. If you're not in there and you want to join in the auction, there's a link in the description of this video for you to get yourself in. I'll let anybody in there who isn't before we get that kicked off. And yeah, just accept my apologies for throwing this one together tonight. I think I'm going to have to start taking, or Wednesdays, putting myself on a fish farm ban anyway. That would be a bit better, wouldn't it? There we go. But hopefully you've enjoyed what we have done this evening, and I will be back next week. I'm just trying to think. Yep, next week for sure. Got nothing on that I know of. Thank you for everyone who's got their questions and bits and bobs in. And yes, I'll see you. If I don't catch you in the WhatsApp group, I will catch you over on the show next week. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening.